make sure we're getting enough fruits and vegetables in the day. Help.
Yeah, this is tough. And so first, I just want to commend the people who asked this question. I think especially when you're trying to feed kids and teach them healthy eating habits, it is so hard. I mean, you're literally up against a food industry that is pumping billions of dollars into messaging, telling your kids to eat unhealthy food. Not to mention, the kids at school and maybe grandpa is saying, ew, vegetables. So it's really, really hard. And it's also such a wonderful gift that you're giving your kids by teaching them to eat healthy. So even if they aren't now, maybe in the future they will, and they'll really appreciate it. So the first rule, and I'm going to admit this is much easier said than done, but the first rule is that the parents and caregivers decide what is served and when, and the kid decides if they eat and how much. That means sometimes the kids don't eat because they choose not to. And as caregivers, it's so hard because we have to let them make that decision. And it's really important too, because we want them to learn to listen to their internal signals for hunger and fullness. We also want them to learn to listen to any signals that, like, this isn't feeling good in my body. Maybe there's an intolerance or something that they need to learn to pay attention to. The last thing we want to teach them is to override those systems. So once again, parents decide what is served and when, and kids decide if they eat and how much. So one thing that you can do is limit snacks. So often kids are just snacking all day long, and then of course they're not hungry at dinner, and maybe they're a little bit more picky about, I don't like this texture, or you stirred frozen peas and corn into my macaroni and cheese and I'm not going to eat it now. When they're actually hungry, they might actually eat that. So that's my first tip. Next is to make sure that you're role modeling eating healthy for your kids. And you can talk about why too. I like to get more specific, and we'll drop some resources into the chat, but don't just say it's good for you. I mean, it is, but kids like to know why, and they're pretty responsive if you tell them, eating vegetables gives you the nutrition your body needs to fix an owie or fight a cold. So that sort of thing, just explaining to them why we do it can be helpful. And then maybe talk to them about, what would you like to eat? We have to eat our vegetables. How do you like to eat them? Which ones do you like? That's always okay to include them in the conversation and cooking. Another idea is to have a little family taste off. Some kids like different textures, just like adults. So maybe take your broccoli and you can roast it, steam it, eat it raw, put it in the air fryer, and just see what everybody in the family likes. I also wouldn't hesitate to do things like Brenda was saying, eat your veggies with some hummus or a delicious sauce. You can put some cheese sauce on the kids' vegetables. That's fine. It's also helpful to enlist all of the caregivers in the family. So, sometimes one caregiver will undermine the healthy vegetables message. So if you just tell, friends and family, we're really struggling with this, please don't say anything about, vegetables are yucky to the kids. That can be helpful. And as we know, sometimes kids take advice better from somebody else. So that's also an option to, maybe enlist the cool big cousin or the babysitter and have them talk to kids about it. There's also some resources out there. PBS Kids has a nutrition channel, so that can be an opening for conversation. Let's see, it's nutrition.gov, I believe, has some great materials that you can even use when you're homeschooling your kids this fall to talk about nutrition and healthy eating. And then for older kids, you can look at maybe what a celebrity or an athlete is saying about nutrition. Maybe they're on the Today Show or something talking about it. That can be a really great opener. Or, I just read this study about how, I don't know, nutrition can help prevent COVID, something like that. What do you think? What can we incorporate into our day? And then I definitely do the sneaking vegetables into meals too. Even as an adult, you want to get at least 3 servings of vegetables a day. That can take some effort, even 5 or 10 servings is even better. So it can be tough to eat all those vegetables. So I like to hide frozen vegetables in things. It's really easy to do. If you're making a fruit smoothie, you can easily put some frozen cauliflower or beets or in there. I do the spinach and pasta sauce thing too. That works pretty well. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of the parents out there have their own tips. So I encourage you to drop in the chat, you know, what does your family do? What have you found that works?